For the west side, you see what we're going through. Part of the reason why we do this is to show you and to put it into perspective of what's coming your way.
And Kyung La has been reporting all morning. It's been more than 3 or 4 hours that the city of Miami Beach announced that first responders will not leave. So if people like those cyclists or anyone else does get injured, sadly, they will be on their own. Chad Myers.
Headed to Naples. It is headed to Everglades City. It is headed into the Everglades National Park. When it parallels Miami, that will be its closest approach. And what Kyung La is experiencing now is about 80. When the storm gets closer to her, it will be 100. Berman, you see 75 to 80 right now. You're going to 100 as well. The problem I have with your live shot is that water will still come up 2 to 3 feet, John. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, Chad, we're watching that very, very carefully. If water does increase any much more, we will move inland to higher. A route planned out here, Chad. We do appreciate that. And again, you know, the winds here are already strong enough to topple crane, Jake.
All right, Kyung La is standing more safely off to the side there for that. Kyung, I don't know if you can hear us still. But feel free to stay out of the shot.
I can hear you. Hey,
yes. No, stay out of the shot. Kyung, stay out of the shot. Just tell us what you see, but there's no need for you to subject yourself to 80 mile per hour winds. John Berman, let me ask you, the storm surge, which is anticipated more where you are, and you say you're witnessing it, parts of Florida. When that comes, and Chad, feel free to weigh in after John, gradually, or does it come like a giant wave?
It comes gradually, Jake, but in some cases, like we saw in Brooklyn Boulevard downtown, it moves up gradually, but when it gets over a barrier, it will flow in fairly rapid fashion. But people have been warned about this for days and days, Jake. I mean, that area of Brooklyn Boulevard is in the mandatory evacuation zone. Hopefully, people got out. That is why authorities wanted these areas clear. Living in an island on a high-rise building right down past the first floor. So hoping it, this is 3 feet higher than it was when we started. There's some tidal issues to work in here, but we coming, and if it does move up or when it's up, we will move to higher ground, Jake.
All right, good. And Chad Myers, I know from covering previous storms, I know what a 110 mile per hour wind feels like. It feels like your face is being ripped off your skull. I experienced that in a wind tunnel, not in an actual hurricane, but in a wind tunnel, to try to explain it to the public what it feels like. Randy Kay did that a few days ago. That is where John and Kyung are soon enough.
Oh, absolutely. Every gust is 90 miles per hour. Every time a cell comes on shore, a line of the outer bands comes on shore, goes to 90 to 95. And then we may even get to 100 to 105. Here is the bay that we've been worried about. This is Biscayne Bay. Kendall, you're already seeing winds over 90. Easy, because you're closer to the eye. Before you go Coral Gables, again, easy, 95. Then the farther you go west, the higher the winds are. But open area here. Here's Government Cut, where the cruise ships park. This is all open through the Key Biscayne National Park. All of this water is pouring into Biscayne and into Biscayne Bay, across the bay, and across and into Miami. Flooding now. This wind direction will not change for 2 to 3 more hours, and the water is going to continue to come up. We're 0.5 feet right now surge.
Chad, let me interrupt you for 1 second. You're talking about that surge, and we're looking at images right now from a CNN affiliate in downtown Miami, and the streets look like a river. That surge has arrived.
It absolutely has. Here's the map that I made 3 days ago. What we expect with a 6-foot surge. All of downtown Miami will be covered in this blue color that you see there. That's the water depth if the water goes to 6 feet. Right now it's 5.5. That's where the water is at this exact point and still going up.
Berman, the water where you are obviously is the deadliest force in all of this. As horrific as the winds are, it is the storm surge that's up taking the most lives in hurricanes such as these. And where you are, you're seeing the water surge.
Yes, you're seeing the water rise slowly, Jake, and it's been rising slowly over the last several hours. What Chad was talking about right there is just where it overflowed. Some areas came up and rushed down into Brook Boulevard. That's 5.5 feet, as Chad was saying. You know, they've been predicting as much as 6 feet of storm surge, but there were mandatory evacuations for some 600,000 people in Miami-Dade County. And those 600,000 people were told to evacuate because of fears of storm surge. It's not the wind. You hide from the wind, you run from the water, because there's nothing you can do. Once the water starts coming, you know, if you live in one of the bottom floors, the water is going to come in to your apartment. If you live on the higher floors, you won't be able to get out, and the first responders won't be able to get to you. Hopefully, again, most people did listen to those warnings and did evacuate. Some of the biggest evacuations this county has ever seen. People sheltering now inland, hopefully not heading to Tampa to shelter, because that's a whole other world of problems that you're going to get in the next few hours right now. But it is remarkable that all this has happened, Jake, even though the eye of this storm did not hit Miami. There's been concern about that. This storm moved west, heading for Fort Myers and Tampa. Not the worst of the storm, but we still damage that this huge, wide storm has caused and is still causing, Jake.
All right, let me go back to Kyung La, who's in Miami. And Kyung, we see in different parts of the city of Miami, where you are right now, streets have turned to rivers, that the water surge is coming and it's flooding parts of downtown Miami.
And I can't see that from where we are. What I can tell you is the last time I checked in with the Miami Beach Fire Department, they said that as far as massive flooding, that is not something that they have experienced as of yet. But as Chad pointed out, the stronger winds still have yet to come. When my producer, Tristan Smith, went over to the beach to check out the storm surge, he didn't see all that much. That the beach looked like it had been beat up, but we didn't see the massive 5-foot, 10-foot storm surge that was produced. You know, what we are seeing and experiencing here right now is generally more wind. There was just a tweet by the police department asking people to remain inside because of the severity of the winds. And I also want to tell people who are watching this is that this is not the worst area to stand in. If you walk through some of the city streets, through the commercial districts of Miami Beach, the wind there is unbelievable. It has created wind tunnels because of the buildings. And that's where a lot of people, some of the people who live in high rises, live. People who have chosen not to heed the mandatory evacuation order. It's much worse over there. So it's far more dangerous in the commercial Miami Beach districts, and so that's why you're hearing so many, why you're seeing so many tweets from the police as far as the fire to please stay inside.
All right, Kyung La in Miami Beach, where they're horrific right now, and projectiles are a real risk. John Berman in Miami, the city proper, where it's both the wind and the water. John, the water behind you that you say has been rising over the